Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It's Friday, the 14th of April, 2017. I'm Leanne McAdoo, and here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, wars and rumors of wars. As the Trump administration prepares to strike North Korea, China warns that World War III is inevitable. Meanwhile, Japan says they are ready to evacuate 60,000 citizens from South Korea. All this while at the same time, Trump edges even closer to Russia as U.S. soldiers land in Europe after dropping the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan. All that plus a look at the history of false flag attacks up next on the Infowars Nightly News.
The reason Infowars Live has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this, my family takes this, and then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfowarsLive.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair is luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfowarsLive.com.
Well, if the mother of all bombs was meant to send a message, most of the world hears you loud and clear, President Trump, but it remains to be seen if North Korea has gotten the message. Now, President Trump has said that he is very happy with the success of the strike on the ISIS terrorists there in Afghanistan. However, he says that North Korea will also be taken care of. So these are very threatening words there by President Trump. Remains to be seen what happens. North Korea has, of course, promised something very big in the buildup for their Day of the Sun. President Trump has suggested that he has done more in 8 weeks than Obama has done in 8 years because the Obama administration was really holding back the U.S. military. And Trump has gone on to say that he has given the military, my military, he calls it his military, total authorization. So there we go. When he exclaimed that North Korea is a problem, and it's a problem that will be taken care of. The president then went on to praise the Chinese leader, Mr. Xi, who he said he had plenty of time to spend with him at Mar-a-Lago. He thinks he's a very special man. And so he wanted to praise the Chinese leader for taking the initiative and pressuring North Korea. This would be the first time the Chinese government actually appears to have laid down a bottom line with North Korea, and they're actually threatening Pyongyang with a response of unprecedented ferocity if the government of Kim Jong-un goes ahead with the test of either an intercontinental ballistic missile or a nuclear device. So most of the time, China just sort of tells the U.S. president, whomever they're meeting with at the time, oh, well, we'll take care of North Korea. You just keep on giving us these good deals and we'll take care of them. Well, now Trump is saying, you know what? It would be worth giving you a bit of a better trade deal if you just let us take care of North Korea. And the Chinese government has said that tension over North Korea has to be stopped from reaching an irreversible and unmanageable stage. So they are basically saying that World War III is imminent. They're warning their people of such. And now military sources, this is kind of a story that's in dispute, making the rounds, but military sources tell NBC News that the U.S. has positioned 2 Tomahawk missiles in the Korean Peninsula, approximately 300 miles from where North Korea is set to carry out their next nuclear test. These preparations are come in response to the fact that North Korea is promising this big event to take place. They're celebrating the Day of the Sun, which is the birthday of the communist dictator and eternal leader Kim Il-sung. Analysts believe the country is primed and ready to carry out a nuclear test. They would not be capable of enacting a full-scale nuclear attack, but of course they want to go off and fire their little missiles and show the world what they might be capable of. Now, the country's state broadcasters there have declared the country would hit the U.S. first with nuclear weapons at any sign of aggression or provocation. There were kind of some disputed reports that North Korea had already evacuated about 600,000 of its people because they don't have the ability to shelter them in the case of a nuclear attack. So very interesting there. Now, President Trump has remained secretive about the plans that he is going to take with North Korea. However, he did say that he was sending an armada into the region. And Japan as well is finalizing plans to evacuate 60,000 of its citizens from South Korea in the event that war breaks out between the U.S. and North Korea. Japanese authorities are also readying for a potential wave of North Korean refugees to pour into the country. So they're also saying, well, they could be refugees as well as hidden spies and agents. So everyone is just kind of on the brink wondering what is going on there. But again, China is telling its citizens World War III is inevitable as North Korea is preparing this latest nuclear test. Officials there in China are warning all of their people that North Korea could soon conduct a 6th nuclear test or more missile launches in defiance of UN sanctions and stark warnings from President Trump that its policy of strategic patience is over. And so they are going to run around like little angry children and fire off some nuclear missiles. Isn't that wonderful? So there has been speculation that President Trump is preparing for a preemptive strike on the rogue state before the weekend. Preemptive strike. Now, this is in dispute. People are saying there's no way that he would strike preemptively, that it would have to be in retaliation for something that North Korea sets off first. So very interesting things could be taking place here. Easter weekend of all weekends. I mean, can we just get a break from World War III? My goodness. The Pentagon is actually actively working to protect the power grid amid fears of an attack by North Korea. Now, this is DARPA and BAE Systems. They say they're developing alternative communication networks for use in the event of a cyber attack on the grid. Experts say that the threat is real. Of course, they say this a lot because they want fast action in the government to protect the grid. They want this to be part of President Trump's infrastructure modernization project to give them lots of money to deal with this very real threat of the grid. And they know what kind of capabilities these other countries have because they have them as well. And they've also stolen these countries' plans. But they point out how Iran mentions electromagnetic pulse over 20 times in its military doctrine. So they're very up on being able to take out a country's power grid. They say that if that were to happen, it could kill 9 of 10 Americans by starvation and societal collapse. So very real threat here. But they said their chief impediment is political. They know how to fix the grid. They know how to keep the country safe. But the politics is what we'll have to deal with. So that right there makes me kind of question, because they're asking for millions, if not billions of dollars fast-tracked directly to DARPA and these other systems to be able to develop alternative communication networks. And speaking of that, we now have the latest release, and probably the most significant release yet, by the shadow brokers, who are a mysterious person or group that over the past 8 months has been leaking NSA documents. And so now these are, they've actually leaked about 1 gigabyte worth of the NSA's weaponized software exploits. The most significant release was just released today. It contains potent exploits and hacking tools that target most versions of Microsoft Windows, and evidence of sophisticated hacks on the SWIFT banking systems of several banks across the world. So they are showing how the NSA has this malware. It's threatening Windows users around the world. The software could give nearly anyone with sufficient technical knowledge the ability to wreak havoc on millions of Microsoft users. And lo and behold, it is now available to anyone out there who wants to download this software, because it has been leaked on the internet. Now, The Intercept has a very good breakdown of how this works. They're kind of showing you the program as it's taking over someone's system. But according to security researcher and hacker Matthew Hickey, he's the co-founder of Hacker House, he says the significance of what's now publicly available, including zero-day attacks on previously undisclosed vulnerabilities, cannot be overstated. So I don't think he's seen so much exploits and zero-day attacks released at one time in my entire life. He's been involved in computer hacking and security for 20 years. Affected computers will remain vulnerable until Microsoft releases patches for these zero-day vulnerabilities, and more crucially, until their owners then apply those patches. So many people won't even know how to apply the patches, so they'll just remain vulnerable. And he says hackers will be exploiting these attacks for years to come. Microsoft, when The Intercept reached out, they said, we're looking into it. We'll look into the reports. And of course, we will update you all with any ways to patch and protect yourself as that information comes forward. But they also point out how this Windows hacking tool may have been used to target the SWIFT financial security system, specifically anti-money laundering financial institutions called EastNets. And the U.S. government has long been able to crack into financial data through SWIFT as part of their anti-terrorism effort. But according to some of these researchers that are looking at this, latest release, it shows the methods the NSA was going beyond its official access. You don't say. Didn't see that one coming. Give people the means, and of course they're gonna get into it. Speaking of hacking, we have hackers now vowing to detonate several bombs at an anti-Islam march to prove that Islam is the religion of peace. This is the website and social media accounts of Britain First. They've all been hacked. They've all been taken over. They were prepared to march, and this is the group's far-right supporters warned that they had better stop being racist to Muslims or they will die. They say several bombs will detonate and those who will march will be dead. Whoever goes to the march will die. So this is, this is the way that they prove the religion of peace. They threaten you, they hack into your systems, and they say, don't go to the march or we're going to blow you up, because how dare you insult our religion. Now, on that, we had Mike Cernovich in studio today with Alex Jones, and he had some updates on what his sources were telling him about Donald Trump's plans to send troops to Syria, tens of thousands of people potentially. And Eli Lake, who I guess wakes up every day and checks Cernovich's Twitter feed, then goes and takes those articles and posts to Bloomberg. He's also now confirming Cernovich's conspiracy theories, saying that McMaster is wanting to send tens of thousands of ground troops to the Euphrates River Valley. Trump told Fox Business this week that he doesn't plan on, that's not really his approach to fighting the Syrian regime. He said, we're not going into Syria. But according to General McMaster, we are, and it's only a matter of time. So with all of this war posturing over the weekend, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. We have Donald Trump sending U.S. military now to Poland to join NATO's multinational battalion just after he dropped that Moab bomb. So very interesting war posturing here, and we'll keep you updated throughout the weekend.
The Tommy Burst has automatic bolt action. Fire off a burst of 10 shots. Pull the bolt again, you're reloaded. The exciting new Tommy Burst Detective set includes wallet, badge, and ID.
We interrupt our regular program schedule to bring you the following special report from ABC News in Washington.
As President and Commander-in-Chief, it is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
In retaliation for this unprovoked attack on the high seas, our forces have struck the bases used by the North Vietnamese patrol craft.
It would allow the president to wage war in Vietnam.
Israel claims the attack was accidental. Some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Now is the time to check the aggression of this ruthless dictator whose troops have bayoneted pregnant women and have ripped babies from their incubators in Kuwait.
They had kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
Pearl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked almost straight above us. There was a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say...
Every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Saddam Hussein is a homicidal dictator who is addicted to weapons of mass destruction.
We came, we saw, he died.
10 days ago, the world watched in horror as men, women, and children were massacred in Syria in the worst chemical weapons attack of the 21st century.
The Assad regime, and only undeniably the Assad regime, unleashed an outrageous chemical attack against its own citizens.
After careful deliberation, I have decided that the United States should take military action against Syrian regime targets.
We can tell you beyond any reasonable doubt that our evidence proves the Assad regime prepared for this attack.
Yesterday morning, we awoke to pictures, to children foaming at the mouth, suffering convulsions, being carried in the arms of desperate parents.
On Tuesday, Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad launched a horrible chemical weapons attack on innocent civilians.
What is your message to President Assad?
The world is watching. The world doesn't do anything.
Assad choked out the lives of helpless men, women, and children.
We know that yesterday's attack bears all the hallmarks of the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels in the Eastern Mediterranean. I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons, and they are beautiful pictures.
This live special report has come to you from ABC News, Washington.
Boy, did I almost look stupid.
Infowars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds and even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary processing technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor. using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender body armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender body armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win.
You provided Alex with the caveman.
Well, so we've been formulating this stuff for a while, and we've been getting these different flavors, and I don't know about this one, and so I've been taking that stuff, and I'm an old man. I'm 42. I work out 5 times a week, if not more.
I hear you're okay in jiu-jitsu. That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
No, I'm not. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. But the point is that I have a lot of aches and shoulders, and there's weird joint stuff that I've had issues with for years. And this bone broth, the caveman bone broth, along with our joint formula, has just worked magic for me. And that's just, that's just from my personal experience. I think they're great products, and I think if anybody else has those issues, that you should definitely, you owe it to yourself to check it out. If I'm wrong, then hey man, write me a mean letter. But let me tell you, they work for me. And
yeah, they work for me too. We were talking about this earlier. Du and I play basketball, and I'm just now, like, for the first time in my life, I'm 27 now. After I play basketball, my knees are barking. Like but the bone broth and the joint formula, like you just said, you combine those two. I felt the difference immediately. I felt it immediately.
Yeah, and it actually tastes good. Like, I'm really picky, and I will drink it. It tastes good to me. I love chocolate, so I really like the flavor of the caveman. So, if the bone broth is really that gross, I would never have known, because it tastes really good. And my favorite is the Super Female Vitality. So ladies, get yourself some Super Female Vitality if you haven't already, because it just gets me going. I'll take a whole bunch of that stuff before I go out and do
get it for your wife then too, or girlfriend.
Right? I go and take a bunch of it before I go do Man on the Street, and I just start running, zipping around, running right into the action. No fear, nothing. So,
well, that's a big primary part about fighting the globalists, is making sure that we stay healthy and stay clear-eyed and stay honest and stay humble. I hope that we do that here at Infowars. We got a lot going on, and we're in the middle of the fight, so we really appreciate it when anybody supports us, either by purchasing our products, or you can even go onto our store and donate. We're doing this by the skin of our teeth. I know it looks like we're in a $1 billion studio, but Alex has never taken 1 cent of borrowed money at all whatsoever. This is all money that's come from you, the listeners. So you have literally built this place, built this place with your compassion, and built this place with the support that you've sent us. So from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it, because I know we wouldn't be able to do this, and we wouldn't have a voice if it wasn't for you. So once again, we got to thank the listeners for their steadfastness in supporting us. And even when we make mistakes, and even when we're not right, and even when we might go a little bit crazy, you guys stick with us, and I appreciate that.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. I'm going under disguise as Rainbow Snatch, and I'm on the Hollywood Boulevard with the stars, and I'm going to be talking to people about LGBTQ rights, and if they think that, love has no boundaries, and if we should extend those boundaries to groups like VERPED.
I am Todd Nickerson. I'm a non-offending pedophile. I'm a political activist for virtuous pedophiles. I'm basically making the case for VERPED.
Let's go see what they have to say. Are you pro-LGBTQ?
Oh, yeah. All my friends are gay. Well, almost all of them.
I think it's awesome that everyone can like whatever they want. Doesn't really make a difference to me or my life, so do what you do, I guess.
Are you pro-LGBTQ?
I sure the hell am. I'm all above it.
We must be over the rainbow.
Well, I'm gay, so yeah. Yeah.
What is love to you?
To me,
Love is the act of the divine seeking and finding itself in the playground.
I mean, do your thing. It ain't my business, but do your thing. Love is love, and that's what we should live off of.
I have people that I'm friends with that are like that. So it's like, I don't look at them no type of different because we all human. We all like different things. So it's like, if you like that type of person or that type of, human in that way, then you do what you do.
Do you think there should be any barriers between love?
No. Do whatever you like. People just do whatever makes you happy.
There's no boundaries at all in my book.
Homosexuality has been around since like the Greek times. So why is it we're still having an issue now? Like the Greeks were much more open than we are now, and it's insane.
All those Greeks were homosexuals.
Do you think that more people should be trying to advocate for love and to not have barriers or boundaries with love?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't even just stop there. I mean, like, there's people who are, like, aromantic, but they're still, just, like, I guess, aesthetically attracted to people.
So what aromantic means is that you don't feel romantic attraction to other people. And it is separate from asexuality because sexual attraction and romantic attraction are not necessarily the same thing.
What do you think about Marilyn Monroe, how they have her just sitting there with her boobs hanging out? Do you think that it's objectifying women?
Free the nipple, man. It doesn't matter these days. If men can go out without shirts, so can women. Like, it's really not a big deal anymore.
This is really happening.
Yeah.
When the masses align, Rome falls, Egypt falls, all falls down.
What do you think about how now we have like VERPed or, VERPed, like they're virtuous pedophiles, like they're sexually attracted to underage people, but they don't act it out. Do you think that they should be acknowledged as well?
I don't know. That's like a very gray area. I haven't really thought about that enough to have a real opinion about it, so.
With the kids, they're going to have to grow up and learn for themselves if they want to live that life or not, but it should be up for them to decide and not their parents or their friends to influence them and stuff. So.
Hey kids, my name is Riley and I'm going to be your substitute teacher for the day.
Back here in the States, feminists and activists have been moving society to think outside the box. Crush that gender binary. Why should man or woman be our only options, and why shouldn't you get a say in it?
I do not expect everyone in the world to understand my identity. I barely understand my identity myself.
And having the term gender fluid and having the term gay and all this stuff is helpful for people like me.
I am currently actually looking for a real life babysitter to come over a couple days a week and actually go through a bedtime routine with me.
I have a mommy and daddy, adopted mommy and daddy, who are totally comfortable with me being a little girl, and their children and their grandchildren are totally supportive. In fact, her youngest granddaughter said to me, I want you to be the little sister, so I'll be 9. I said, well, I don't mind going to 6, so I've been 6 ever since.
If you're talking about like somebody that's like 20 to somebody that's like 17 or something like that, then yeah, I feel like, age is just a number. But at the end of the day, it's an age limit and a law. So if you don't want to get in trouble, don't do the things that you do.
I mean, of course, it's looked down upon in society, and I'm not necessarily advocating for pedophilia. But the thing is that I think it's also one of those things like being being gay. It's one of those things you can't really change. Because I've heard I don't know anybody, but like this, but I've heard scenarios where there are people they know they're pedophiles, but then they don't go out and molest children or anything because obviously there's no consent involved, and then that's just you being a predator.
Pedophiles, do you think that that's okay?
I think everybody's equal to their own space and to their beliefs and stuff and their own rights. But I see the way they hate and oh, don't touch me, or I'm going to call the police, or you child molester, and all that stuff. I'm not about that. I'm not a judgmental. I think that people need to lighten up really hard.
Do you think that LGBTQ community should kind of help advocate for them?
Yes, I think they should.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Everybody needs to chill the hell out.
We're not here to start no trouble. We're legally required to do the sex offender show.
Is that where you draw the line?
Yeah, like, there's certain things that are just really messed up. Like, that's one of the things that I think is really messed up, just like pedophiles and stuff, obviously. Like, that's messed up. I don't know.
I like your cat ears.
Actually, they're upward-facing dog ears. There are dogs that have ears like this.
So are you a puppy dog then?
I guess, yeah. I mean, like, my last name is actually Labrador, like the dog. Like, I'm not making this up.
Wow. So do you identify as a dog?
Oh, no, I'm not a furry.
But what about like if somebody identified as a horse, right? And they wanted to stick within their own species?
Pony play allows me to indulge in the pretend play that all of us came to know and love as a child, and it's kind of taboo as an adult.
I'm just baffled by the idea. Oh man.
Holy cow.
Don't use cow as an insult. Don't be speciesist. Never use the name of an animal as an insult for a human.
So do you think because they actually aren't like biologically really a horse, they shouldn't be able to have sex with a horse?
Okay, but when you put like, it was like, when you're bringing like, what's called biology right here, that sounds like, it kind of sounds like the arguments that, it's like those the trans-exclusive radical feminists who I absolutely loathe.
Trans-exclusionary radical feminism, or TERF, is a subgroup of radical feminism characterized by transphobia and hostility to third-wave feminism. TERFs believe that only women born with female genitalia and genetics are real women and valid.
I think when it comes to that, it's just like, yeah, bestiality and then like transgender issues are completely different. So you can't really, you know, use like a biological basis with those kind of things. So it's like, I don't think you could, I guess like you could like mentally, like, you know, like say it's like I kind of identify with like the aspects of a horse, but like you're not like actually a horse. But then like, you know, if you're a transgender woman, then you're a woman. Like it's like that. I don't know. There's like, it's complicated.
So it seems as though, as crazy as some of these liberal SJWs are, many of them drew the line when it came to children and animals. Most of them were kind of weirded out, and they kind of had their minds burst as far as some of their furry friends that identify as animals and how to kind of deal with that. But overall, most were kind of freaked out and didn't agree with the whole pedophile being added to LGBTQ. So they don't want that P there. They want it crossed out with a big X. One person did say they did think that they should have rights, which was kind of weird. But this is Rainbow Snatch reporting to you.
Why is the fungus? Why is the mold? Why is the yeast taking over? What is going on? What has changed? Dr. Group, the new product will sell out definitely in days. You've been testing it for almost a decade. You've got rave reviews from your patients who've been taking it privately at your clinics. Myco ZX supports normal fungal and yeast balance, proprietary blend of herbs and enzymes made with high quality ingredients. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com. We also have free shipping, orders $50 or more, and 10% off when you sign up for auto ship. Additionally, on top of that, and then you fund an organization dedicated to the truth and get something you and your family absolutely need. But you should consult your healthcare provider. This is not a game. This is not a joke. Especially if you have really big yeast levels or fungus in your body. You know, there can be some responses to this as you're flushing it. But why is this product so powerful? What does it do?
So we've been doing research just like you have on what's currently going on. Obviously, we stay ahead of the game because our job is to protect and address the root cause of the problem, which is why I've been...
Now, we want stuff for our own kids.
This is why we've addressed the president, you know, let's address the root cause of America's health problems. But getting back to fungus, it's becoming an increasing epidemic epidemic that's only getting worse.
Killing bats everywhere, other animals, squirrels are dying.
Funguses were used as bioweapons.
So why is it suddenly killing so many mammals?
Yeah, fungus is a growing epidemic, and I've been testing this formula and making changes to this formula for over 10 years. I've had nobody. Here's the thing, Alex. When you go to the doctor with a list of symptoms, you can look at symptoms of fungus overgrowth in the body. It's going to show, you're going to pull up over 100 symptoms, everything from brain fog, lack of energy, insomnia, headaches, bowel problems.
Joint pain.
It's joint pain. It's linked to Crohn's disease.
Infertility. What about the obesity epidemic? I know they test people that are really obese and like they're just colonized by fungus.
Yeast overgrowth. I have a study right here by Jacob Titelbaum at the Fibromyalgia and Fatigue Center in Dallas. Yeast overgrowth is linked to an average weight gain of 32.5 pounds. What doctor...
By the way, folks, look, I'm not bragging. We game-changed the presidency. We game-changed the New World Order. Globalism is falling because of you. You are the Infowar. Listen, this is religious for me. Okay? I do not bring you something unless I absolutely believe in it. And if we were reigned with $1 billion, I would turn 99% of it against the enemy. I want to defeat them. I'm ready to give my life. Everybody knows that, against the enemy. Please, we only have a limited supply of this. I want to get your reviews. I want to hear what you have to say. For me, it's been incredible. Myco ZX, antifungal, antifungus, anti-yeast. Get it today. Limited run. It'll be months till we get more. Infowarsstore.com, InfowarsLife.com. Myco ZX goes great with the bomb defense. InfowarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And you can't support an organization that isn't fighting hard. Look at the response we're getting. We're changing the world together. You are the Infowar. God bless you all. Let's go to Devin in Florida. Devin in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you. Wow. You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's amazing. Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like, I haven't felt weak. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the Infowars crew, and I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence, just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfowarsLife.com. It's a win-win. InfowarsLife.com.
Owen Schroyer. I'm joined by Mike Cernovich. We're going to talk all the latest news, especially all the stuff revolving around the brink of World War III. But, you know, I've got Mike in studio today. We've never had any conversations before. And one that I'd like to have with you, because I don't think it's being talked about enough in our inner circle. We talk about the infighting that's going on in the White House. This has been well documented. Everybody sees it. It's getting worse now. Feels like Bannon's a Lone Ranger in there. But let's talk about the infighting that's going on in the Trump base, because this is something that can be just as damaging, I think, to the future of the country as the infighting in the White House. If we're all infighting the people that created Trump, then how can Trump get to the next level? Or how can we decide whether we want to continue to build Trump up or tear Trump down? The media can't do that. Only we can do that. And if we're infighting, then I feel like that's going to reflect what's going on in the White House. What are your thoughts on Trump's base infighting?
The infighting has definitely been over-exaggerated. It's not as extreme as people is. What people have to understand is that the left is a cult. It is a death cult. It is groupthink. No individuality is allowed. The right has always been a group of individuals. For example, you even mentioned it isn't like you and I talk. We don't coordinate our messaging. You're not saying, here's what I'm going to do, Cernovich.
Yeah, we just both go to Putin is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the idea, that there's a centralized source of any of this information. Is we don't even talk. Alex and I aren't talking that often, right? Because we're all individualistic. We're all about having our own right to think and our own right of conscience. So what appears to be infighting to the fake news media is actually just a healthy debate and a vigorous discussion amongst people who are free thinkers, unlike the people in the fake news media and unlike liberals.
So do you think that just like the mainstream media is trying to cast the infighting going on in the left to infighting going on in the right, do you think maybe that same light is being cast by the mainstream news? Perhaps the infighting in the White House isn't as bad as we think it is?
It's been exaggerated. The Kushner-Bannon drama has been exaggerated. McMaster and Petraeus have been taking over the NSC. through a number of personnel decisions. Of course, remember, personnel is policy. A lot of the fighting among Bannon and Kushner is being exaggerated because the real fight is to get people into the NSC who are going to lie to people. For example, McMaster tried to bring in Diana Weisgold into the NSC. She was one of the Benghazi liars. She had actually lied in her report to Congress. That barely got reported. The Weekly Standard, I believe, and I don't like the Weekly Standard, but if they have a story, I'll talk about it. They actually were the only outlet to really cover that story. So why is H.R. McMaster trying to bring in a Benghazi liar to work at the NSC, right? Well, the media's got everybody focused on the drama and intrigue about Bannon and Kushner, while McMaster and General Petraeus, who's his puppet master, are remaking the NSC in their own image.
So it's a distraction to take the Trump base off of the NSC and perhaps even from Trump to keep his eye off of the NSC while they try to sneak another member of the swamp in there.
Exactly. Create a diversion, get everybody focused on Bannon and Kushner. Meanwhile, there was almost no articles about McMaster. And in fact, when I had reported that McMaster had a plan, again, because Petraeus is his puppet master, when I reported McMaster was going to bring in the 150,000 ground troops into Syria, people go, that was fake. Nobody wants that. Well, now it's being reported he only wants 50,000, right? So nobody was talking about McMaster because they're all talking about Bannon and Kushner, and that is because Petraeus is feeding a lot of those stories using Saudi money, of course, feeding that money into the fake news media.
So I think the reason there's a lot of division in the Trump base, whether it be exaggerated or not, is over the response from the Trump administration and perhaps from intel he got from McMaster's and the NSC and the strike in Syria. Now it's being debated, the effectiveness of the strike. Perhaps there was 3D chess involved with the strike, et cetera, et cetera. But how do we as the Trump base come together with the issue that we agree it was not sarin gas, but yet Trump says that it was sarin gas caused by the Assad regime? So how do we come to grips with that as Trump's base, while we also want to drain the swamp, while we feel like he's being infiltrated and maneuvered by the swamp?
Yeah, life is always about priorities. So one is that we always have to think for ourselves. Two is that most of us didn't oppose the bombing per se in Syria. What we opposed was a potential ground force, and that was this a trial balloon, bomb it, see how the public reacts, then we're going to bring in a ground troop, right? That was ultimately what we opposed. Now, we all know that Assad didn't gas his own people. But if the world is in a collective delusion, you can't argue against a collective delusion. You have to go throw some bombs somewhere, and hopefully nobody died in the bombing of the base. But you have to create some kind of show, and we just have to understand this is politics. That's kind of the game, right? We know that things are going to happen that are just in the game.
Well, I'm going to cut you off right there because I think that this is where the base has the divide right there. And I myself I've struggled with this. I thought that the game was over. I thought that we put Trump in to end the game, and now we're seeing the same game being played. And I think that that's where we have the divide. Some of us are willing to say this is politics. This is what Trump is going to have to do. Other of us are saying we thought Trump was a wrecking ball. We thought he was going to stand against this. I'm not sure if that divide right there that we just pointed out can ever be mended, because I think that that's a red line for people. They didn't want to put up with the BS.
Well, the game is a game, and the game never ends.
And I want to go to Kaya Jones. She began her music career at a very young age as a classically trained violinist. She is one of the founding members of one of the most popular girl groups in history, the Pussycat Dolls. That was 2003 to 2005. She has had a very successful recording career since then. You can find her at kayajones.com. Welcome, Kaya.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us your concerns about what's going on. You contacted us and said, this is something we really need to talk about, and we agree. We need to talk about what's going on in Egypt, especially this weekend. As you heard me say, they have had to cancel Easter services in one jurisdiction, and the other people are having to basically hide to even get together to worship.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this is an attack against the cross. Everyone needs to understand that. This is not an attack on just Christians. It's our doctrine. It's our belief in a whole being attacked. And so it's scary to watch the news continuously say things about our president, say things about what's going on in the world. And, you know, 2 minutes is shown of what's happening to Christians in Egypt. and it was just, you know, passed over. Luckily, Andre Soriano, who designed the Make America Great Again dress for Joy, he sent all of us this incredible video that was the truth of what happened inside of the church that killed 47. They're not sure if it's 45 or 47 from all the different reports.
Wow.
And it was someone then taking their phone because, you know, the feed had been cut, and now taking their phone saying, you need to see this.
Wow.
And how could you not respond? You know, in that moment, to me, it was very clear that something's wrong when, you know, we're talking about a murderous mother in America who gets off, you know, out of her sentence and now has a reality show is the key topic. You know, and we're barely talking about Christians and what's going on, and that this is against our doctrine. This is not just Christians. This is the cross.
I think that's a very important point. You start out by saying this is an attack on the cross because Muslims see Jesus as a prophet. And so they say, we honor Jesus and so forth and so on. What they hate is the cross.
I'm a singer. You know, also own a record company. I'm a performer. You know, I came out in support of Trump. But at this point, it doesn't matter whether you're a singer, you sweep the street, or you're a police officer. We need to know what's right and wrong. And right now, what's going on in the world is wrong. We cannot have this continue. It starts in one space and it moves. Had we stayed in the Middle East and not just pulled out, we would not have been in this situation where ISIS is now spread everywhere. I mean, I wish Trump had come along sooner because I was so happy when I saw what he did. I was so happy.
Yeah, I just hope that he doesn't, you know, one of the things that's going on in Syria, of course, is Assad is one of the most secular governments that we've had there. There's been less persecution of Christians in that country before ISIS came in. There was less persecution there than anywhere else. And what I'm concerned about is that this is going to degenerate into a situation like we've had even in other places where the U.S. government has gone in, other countries where there used to be a Christian population. After our involvement, that went down to essentially zero. I hope that doesn't happen in Syria as well. I think the takeaway that we have to come away with this is that we don't turn into the picture of what we saw with these uniformed people on the platform. We have to do something. And so what can we do? We're not always there when somebody is being attacked. But we can show exactly what you're doing, what you're talking about. And thank you so much for talking to us, Kaya Jones.
Thank you for having me. Happy Good Friday.
Thank you. You too.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You've got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.
The French election is absolutely chaotic, with the polls showing no clear winner as the first round of voting approaches. In the Brexit spirit, Marine Le Pen has framed the contest as the next epic struggle between globalism and nationalism. 39% of young people aged 18 to 24 support Marine Le Pen, almost double the number of her closest rival, Emmanuel Macron. 39%, which proves what I've been saying all along. Populism is the new punk. All the energy is behind Le Pen. The French are sick and tired of their country being stuck in the malaise of anemic economic growth, high taxes and high unemployment. Sick of being told to accept another ominous form of occupation, this time under the guise of Islamo-fascism. France has suffered 20 Islamist attacks since Charlie Hebdo. 33% of Muslim students support terrorism. But don't you dare question whether it's normal for some classrooms in France to be 91% Muslim, or you'll be fined. Le Pen also has huge support amongst women, many of whom have observed the epidemic of sexual assault sweeping Europe and don't feel safe. So how is the establishment trying to stop this populist uprising? By creating a fake populist in the form of Emmanuel Macron, the French Tony Blair. Because nothing says populist like a former Rothschild banker who's never been elected to anything in his entire life. This guy's entire campaign was literally cooked up years ago by Francois Hollande, the outgoing socialist who's so unpopular he's not even bothering to run as a candidate. Macron is the Hollande mini-me. Hollande has already anointed him as his successor and will campaign for him if he reaches round 2. Now all the corporate money and state media endorsements are flooding Macron's way. Populist my ass. His entire campaign was created in a lab by the very same establishment the French are trying to get rid of. He also married his school teacher, who is 25 years older than him. And that's just weird. How's Macron going to stop Islamic terrorism? By curbing Islamic immigration? No. By spying on French people's Skype calls. No thanks. So who else is there? Jean-Luc Mélenchon, a far-left communist sympathizer known as the French Hugo Chavez. Because Venezuela's doing so well, isn't it? Yeah, the French are known for their haute cuisine. And I don't think they fancy the idea of searching through the garbage for food. I don't think they like the idea of flamingo being on the menu. But then again, they are French, so don't quote me on that. Mélenchon wants to reduce legal working hours from 35 hours a week to 32 hours a week. Because a 3-hour lunch break just isn't long enough. Because 24% youth unemployment just isn't high enough. Let's create more incentives for businesses to leave France. Great idea. He starred in a video game in which he shakes down people on the street, steals their money, and puts it in a common pot. Yeah, the world tried communism, and it kinda didn't work out for us. Reference the entire 20th century. Or the French could default to Fillon, the scandal-ridden conservative, which would be like putting a band-aid over a gaping wound. Fillon waffles on about Islamic terrorism, yet has no actual solutions to prevent it. The time has clearly arrived for Le Pen.
Car votre Union européenne est en train de s'effondrer. Je porte un autre modèle qui rassemble aujourd'hui les peuples d'Europe. Celui de l'indépendance, de l'Europe des nations dans un monde multipolaire, du protectionnisme intelligent, eh oui, des libertés individuelles, de la défense de notre sécurité et de nos identités par l'arrêt total de l'immigration de masse.
61% of French people support halting Islamic immigration altogether. Populism is still clearly in the ascendancy. The anti-immigration Sweden Democrats just became the most popular party in Sweden. Yes, Sweden.
Sweden!
So, as ever, the establishment is up to its old tricks. Facebook just deleted 30,000 of the most popular accounts in France, a month after they vowed to educate the French people and stop fake news. And Google is once again manipulating its algorithm in a bid to sway undecided voters. Can Marine Le Pen be victorious? Yes, but she has to win the first round. That's how she builds momentum. Hollande is now privately panicking and trying to get out of handing over power at the ceremony because he fears Le Pen will win. Out of all the candidates, Le Pen also has the most solid support when it comes to people who will definitely vote for her. The spirit of Charles de Gaulle has infused Le Pen's campaign. You also have a Trump-style phenomenon where people in the rural areas feel left behind and abandoned. This isn't left versus right. This is Brexit all over again. This is the people versus the establishment. And that's why the establishment is terrified of President Marine Le Pen.
Vive la République! Vive la France!
I'm not gonna sit here and take it anymore.
Back in 2013, Recep Tayyip Erdogan's days were numbered as the gas for gold scandal broke, ensnaring 16 of Erdogan's allies. By July 2016, Erdogan was running from a coup that threatened to end his ceremonial presidency. But Erdogan gained the upper hand, blaming the coup attempt on former ally and U.S. charter school scourge Fethullah Gulen. Bloody revenge was loosed as over 300 coup conspirators were killed, and a crackdown on the free press criticizing Erdogan's authoritarian leanings saw to it that at least 200 journalists were imprisoned and 120 news outlets shut down.
This is the crackdown that would leave no actual working, surviving media left afterwards.
That was the moment that the government showed they have no scruples about entering a media outlet, taking it in a hostile manner, and then even arresting some of the top editors of that newspaper.
That means government-sponsored, government-financed media. 90% of media is controlled by government. And even there is no fair competition. And we are not allowed to take in any debate in any government, state-run TV, or government-sponsored TV. Turkey now is so much in a dark days. Really, under such circumstances, we are trying to demonstrate our democratic force to rescue democracy from the dictatorship. So it's an extraordinary situation in Turkey.
On April the 16th, 2017, a constitutional referendum will allow the voters of Turkey to cast a ballot for 18 proposed amendments to Turkey's constitution. These include the creation of an executive presidency that will replace parliament and also an abolition of the prime minister's office.
There are 300,000 Turkish voters in the Netherlands. But no one can hold a public rally in the Netherlands about another country's politics. It's against Dutch law. But that point seemed lost on the Turkish president, who used furious language against the Dutch people.
They don't know anything about politics or international diplomacy. They are very nervous and they are cowards. They are Nazi remnants, they're fascists. You can ban our foreign minister's planes as much as you want. Let's see how your planes come to Turkey from now on.
Why do you think so many constitutional experts and others are worried as hell about what Turkey looks like it's about to embark upon?
Truly, it's hard to understand why, because we wanted a brand new constitution.
Now the megalomaniacal Erdogan, who has been criticized for enabling ISIS, is working toward nothing less than a modern caliphate or a return of an international Muslim caliphate from his $615 million palace with 1,000 rooms.
The release of 49 Turkish diplomats who were kidnapped by ISIS when it raided Al-Mosul city along with their families for 3 months, and Erdogan's refusal to reveal the details of this process reopens the financing ISIS issue and how good the relationship between the Turkish government and ISIS is. While Turkish government continued to emphasize that ISIS is a Syrian creature par excellence.
And as Erdogan's power grows, the outlawed Caliphate Party rises from the ashes. The Stockholm Center for Freedom reported the Turkish arm of Hizb ut-Tahrir operates freely, despite the fact that it is still an outlawed organization. It held a Caliphate conference in Ankara on March 3rd with senior leaders of the organization in attendance as speakers. If the referendum passes on Sunday, Ataturk's secularist Turkey, will fall, and the door between the bursting jihad and a fascist wave of terror will be granted unyielding passage into Europe and Asia. John Bound for Infowars.com.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality Infowars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high quality known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.